It's very difficult for the drumline to be able to hear how they sound relative to the rest of the ensemble because they're hearing it from a performer standpoint in their little box of sound. What you want to be able to hear is like, how do we sound as a snare line, as a drum line, etc., with the rest of the ensemble from the judge's perspective, so like up top on the box. Part of it has to do with the drill design. So if the drill has the battery behind the winds and the brass, that's going to be very different in terms of how it sounds. And if they have the battery in front of the winds of the brass or blended in with the winds and the brass. So where you are staged across the field is going to have a profound impact on how everything sounds. But one of the really valuable things that I had done as a performer is some of the staff would have me as the section leader, the center snare, etc., go up into the box to hear how do we sound as an ensemble. And then that way I could go, oh yeah, we are too loud there. Or, oh yeah, we are too quiet there. We can bring up the volume. Because I was a center snare, I set the heights basically, and everybody else would listen into what I was doing and try and match the interpretation, the dynamics, etc. One thing that you can do if you're trying to get it so that the battery understands how they fit with the rest of the ensemble, rotate out each one of the snare drummers, each one of the tenor drummers or bass drummers, etc. for each rep with the full ensemble, have them sit up in the box so they can hear, oh, that's what the snare line actually sounds up from way up here from the judge's perspective. And that provides context that the drumline instructor has that the students do not have. And then you can use this if you're a staff member as like a teachable moment to be like, okay, the instructions I'm giving you are from the perspective of up here on the box. It might sound different than it sounds to you where you're like, I don't feel like we're playing too loud. Yeah, but from up here, it does. This can be a good way to not only teach students to hear how they sound with the rest of the ensemble, but to teach the students to trust the staff that they are hearing something that is different than you hear as a performer, which is why you'll often have staff up at the top on the box and staff that are down on the field that are like the techs providing more specific granular feedback on like the quality of the playing. So you need to think of not just your ensemble, so like the snare line, but how that fits in with the rest of the drum line, but then how that drum line, the whole section fits in with the rest of the ensemble that you're performing with, whether it's front ensemble or winds, brass, etc. Those are some little strategies that you can use both as a performer to get some perspective, to understand the context of how you fit in, but also as a staff member, to be able to teach students to trust the staff that they're hearing some things that are different than a performer might hear. You can find thousands more free drumming tips and exercises to improve your chops, limb independence, technique, and more in my YouTube channel's home tab, or neatly organized in the link at the top of the screen.